Okay, so welcome everyone for this session on mindfulness, significance, and states. Before we go ahead, what do you think about this picture? What comes to your mind when you see this picture?
Serenity.
Serenity.
Humans and machines.
Humans and machines. Can you say more about that, humans and machines?
I think what we have focused on in the West for the past few centuries is machines and technology.
Yeah.
And here it seems to merge or have a good relation, East and West, Eastern tradition and Western technology and science.
Thank you. Actually, it's a very beautiful way you put it, and that's something which I also want to bring out with this picture. A couple of things. One is exactly what you said. You know, the Eastern mind and the Western mind, how differently they think and how they are merging together. And the second thing is, as humans, what the human in that would be experiencing could be different than what the robot might be experiencing or might not be experiencing. And for me, this inner world is something which we humans have so far. And this is the world of mindfulness, whatever word we want to use on that. So today we'll be just going into that world and also looking into how we have moved from east to west and west to east on this topic. So there will be three structures. One is significance of mindfulness, stages of mindfulness, and types of mindfulness. So let's first go to significance of mindfulness. Can I ask you to take 1 minute silence? So we can slowly come back to the space. How do you feel?
Very good, thank you.
Refreshed. I don't need to give you an electric shock. So there was a study which was done, and they asked the question, what would you prefer, electric shock or silence? And it was done in the West. I think it was basically US and Anglo-Saxon world. I need to just look into that. And they said people would rather be electrically shocked than left alone with their thoughts. And around 67% of men and 21% of women said that. So they put that in a room and they put the thinking, they just be alone, silence, and if you don't like it, you just push the button and you get electric shock. And people prefer that. That's the state in which most of the people are still living. Anything linked to silence, anything which is linked to going into the inner world is something which gives us anxiety to this particular level. Any thoughts which are coming when you think?
I heard you say 21% of women said that.
Yes.
But that's only
A small small proportion,
So
and
women
67%
prefer
of
silence.
Yeah.
But men prefer the
Yeah.
electric shock. Okay.
And the implicit assumption that they would say the human mind may be wired to this, kind of like just assuming that this is like the default thing and maybe not just a cultural.
Yes,
phenomenon.
actually, let's say it's from a science magazine, which was also from an Anglo-Saxon world, the research. So I think then we somehow, generalize. I think overall the size was more than 50%. So with men and women, I think what is the sample size that they would have taken, and then the human mind may be wired to find inner reflection unbearable.
Yeah. That seems to be like an interesting deduction from from that one experiment, kind of
Yeah.
assuming or kind of just marginalizing that there's like a huge wealth inside of us in our consciousness,
Yeah.
and kind of just disregarding that. And like,
Exactly.
hey, look, this is proof that actually we should like live in the outer world and not be too much bothered with our inner workings, which seems kind of strange.
Yeah.
Like a biological determination.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like that's
Exactly.
that's what we're
Yeah.
supposed to do
Yeah.
because we're like
Yeah.
It's right.
we're these human robots and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how we're programmed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Introspection is like nothing for us. A very Western perspective.
Exactly. And that's the Western perspective. Means either we are not wired for that, or at some point, if we can take it to the next level, that we should not be doing it. However, the Eastern mind, that was the thing, it was always focused on inner realms from the very beginning. And the questions are, who am I? Where am I coming from? Where am I going? What is my purpose? They were always very, very important. And now when I say always, what does that mean? How long it has been and how far it has come through. So let's say Indian traditions or Indian wisdom traditions became exploring the inner world even from the time of Vedas, the oldest written scripture which we have, somewhere around 1500 BCE, and it's still continuing since then. So Vedas and Upanishads, they were somewhere between 1500 BCE to 500 BCE. And the key thing, or the key central thought of Vedas and Upanishads was there was a divine source of timeless wisdom and awareness within us. There's something within us, and we can connect back to that by focusing on our inner realm. And the mindfulness is a path towards self-realization, fostering a connection to one's true self and also to everything, all the awareness pervading the universe. So when the rishis or the sages, when they were just sitting into that mindfulness stage, they were connecting to their inner self and everything beyond that. And that was the inner journeys, inner realization, or some people call it self-realization, whatever way we want to give it. The entire documents are based on that, scriptures. Buddhism, Buddha took it even further and take one component and make it much more deeper. We heard about Vipassana. He emphasized Vipassana, which means inside meditation, which is centering on mindfulness and insight into the nature of reality. And I think that was a question which Buddha was exploring. What is the nature of the reality? And exploration of this question by sitting under a tree gave him all the answers which he wanted to get without doing anything external. Mindfulness, the word mindfulness is the English interpretation. I think in Pali it's called sati, and in Sanskrit it's called smriti. Smriti literally means memory. It's our mind, where it's coming from. In Buddhism, it's essential to, there's an eightfold path in Buddhism. There's I don't know how much you know about Buddhism. We say that there are four noble truths, and the four noble truths are there's suffering in the world. No, desire is the root cause of all this. There's suffering in the world. Desire is the root cause of all the suffering. There's a way, out of suffering, and the way is the Eightfold Path. These are the Four Noble Truths. And Eightfold Path then decides 8 type of behaviors which people has to do, and then divided into basically ethical conduct. How do people need to work, right action, right speech, mindfulness, connecting with deeper insight, and the third is wisdom, which is right intention and right knowledge. So this mindfulness is the central, one of the centerpiece of Eightfold Path. Cultivating awareness of one's thoughts, actions, and emotions in the present moment. And if you're following that, it can ultimately lead to enlightenment. Buddha, the word means the enlightened one, enlightened one. And also, we talk about yoga. The Patanjali Yoga Sutras, we don't know when they were written, somewhere around 200 BC to 400 CE. My research is somewhere around the first millennia of CE, so I would say first century CE, somewhere around that. But overall, it's a wider range. And Yoga Sutras actually formalized the approach, and they created a structured approach for mindfulness. I don't know whether you know about Ashtanga Yoga. Asht means 8, and Tanga means limbs, which means the 8 limbs. And 8 limbs, there are different components of these 8 limbs. We talk about all the asana. Asana is just one of the 8 limbs, which is the Hatha Yoga. Our yoga is so much more than that. And some of the other limbs are, for example, Pratyahara, which is literally means withdrawal of the senses. Dharana, concentration. Dhyana, meditation. And also Samadhi, which is union with the divine consciousness. So all these are the most important components of these 8 limbs of yoga. And these limbs guide practitioners to still the fluctuations of mind. And so it's not only about, let's do yoga, I feel good, I feel calm, but also to achieve a state of union with the self and the universe. And so yoga is in the Western world is really known as more as a Hatha Yoga, which is asanas. It's just one component of it. It's an important component of it, but it's one of the 8 component of it. It's just so much broader. Any thoughts, any questions before we go further? So this is what we have done so far. Like, let's say here we are at 400 CE. Now, how it has come to the West, these traditions, these structures. So that's the thing. How does mindfulness enter into the Western world? So this one thing is a movement of gurus which happened from India to the West. And here, mainly the America really played a major role in opening this consciousness. And I'm talking more about this mindfulness, not about this interchange of philosophical wisdom, which I think happened with Max Muller and Schopenhauer and many others in the German. But the mindfulness, the real movement from my perspective, started with Swami Vivekananda. When in 1893, he went to Chicago and gave a speech in this Parliament of World Religion about Hinduism, about Indian wisdom traditions. And he just stand there and said, "Sisters and brothers of America." And there was a huge uproar and he got big ovation. And everybody was just surprised because he, from just saying the sisters and brothers of America, he said we all are same. That he went with a commonality rather than what is the difference between us. And they never, it was we now know that, but it was not new in that consciousness. There's recently a very wonderful movie, it's on YouTube, which has come, called America's First Guru. And I would highly recommend to see that. It's very beautifully done.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, it's available on YouTube. And Swami Vivekananda did the start. And he actually stayed over almost a decade, 10 years in US, more or less. And he started giving these Vedantic teachings, this Vedanta and Upanishad, a similar word, the Upanishadic teachings, and really going into the mindfulness and going into the inner realm. At that time, the West was open to it. The first thing was it was like somebody exotic was coming, and he was dressed like a Swami. This is the one on the left. And yeah, but there was a reception. And the reception was much more than he could have even thought. Somebody organized for his trip. So it's like a beautiful story, how everything started. And then Paramahansa Yogananda came, I think in somewhere in early 1915 or something like 1920 or something like that. He came over, and he really almost established yoga. His book called Autobiography of a Yogi became very famous, which he wrote in I think late 1940s, early 1950s. Also on Amazon Prime, there's a wonderful documentary called Awake, if you want to witness or watch about him. And he created a concept called Kriya Yoga, which is almost a type of yoga, but not asana, but going deeper, asana or yoga, hatha yoga, but going deeper into the inner self and using the traditional Upanishadic or different systems. And he created this self-realization fellowship, which is still existing all over the world. I think we have one in Zurich also. So these two people really shaped. There was a lot of other movements which happened, but these two are the most important names which brought yoga to the world. Now, till 1950s, it was
Switzerland. There's another big name, of course. Varajan Yezudian. He's the first yogi coming to Switzerland.
When was that, do you know?
My yoga teacher is over 90 now, and she learned from him. So that would make it probably the 50s?
50s, yeah, okay. Yeah, probably. And actually there was a time when a lot of, I think this Vivekananda opened the door and Yogananda took it much, how do we call it, like it become validated. But then a lot of movement from Indian gurus started. Yeah. However, the movement was still one way, which was happening. Most of the gurus from India were coming and into the West. However, from the 1950s onwards, the movement started happening both ways. And a lot of people from the West went to India and learned from these gurus and came back. Like we know that Steve Jobs visited Neem Karoli Baba, Beatles visited Neem Karoli Baba. So there's a lot of things happened. However, and I'm overgeneralizing it, but more or less from 1950s onward, they started the secular exchange of practices and psychology. So there were few names which made it much more accessible to people. Like John Kabat-Zinn, he developed this mindfulness-based stress reduction program in 1979 with the University of Massachusetts Medical School. And it just become more like when we go into the universities, medical school, people become much more open to it. It lost some of that religious flavor, and I also feel it might have lost some of that divine connection at the same time. But it become more mass market. As in Goenka, they introduced 10-day Vipassana meditation, which is so famous all over the world. In a secular structure, he started in India and then expanded all over. And there's also other influential figures from Zen Buddhism like Thich Nhat Hanh and Suzuki. Like Thich Nhat Hanh in France has a plum village. And Suzuki wrote a book. So they played key role in bringing these secular practices of Zen Buddhism.
Where would you place Alan Watts in like connecting more of maybe the philosophy?
Yeah. So I have not taken the philosophical route here.
Okay,
I've taken the more mindfulness route. So, but if I would have taken the philosophical route, I have put people like Dr. Haridhar Chaudhary, who was the founder of CIIS, the California Institute of Integral Studies, who moved from India to US based on a request by a professor from Stanford, Tushio Aurobindo. So he really set up those structures, and Alan Watts also joined them. So he was also one of the founding members of the college. And Alan Watts got more into the philosophical traditions before, but they developed it. So there was a clear movement which was happening, and it's important that, thank you for saying that. I was thinking when I was putting that together, because 1950s, it was a time in US for the Asia ban. So Asians were not allowed to enter. So only few people, based on requests and invitations, were able to move through. I think there were some policies, I don't remember.
Consequence of the Second World War, maybe?
It could have
The war
been.
with Japan, I don't know.
I've never
It's the
heard of
first
that.
time, maybe. But remember, they also put Japanese people in a concentration camp,
Yeah.
and maybe it had
It
something
could have
to do
been.
with that.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of things were, it was difficult also for people to come over, but few people did come through. Yeah, and so here I'm taking more the meditation and mindfulness movement rather than philosophical concepts which have gone through. So when we're talking about mindfulness these days, for me, these are the names which come. MBSR with John Kabat-Zinn, and now they developed into, Google have developed a program together with John Kabat-Zinn called Search Inside Yourself. And SN Goenka Vipassana is really famous, which introduced a lot of people in our community. Theo, Tobias, they all go to Vipassana retreats. Theo is in Vipassana retreat right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts? So for me, this is the mindfulness. These two things. First, it started with the Vedic traditions, got into the Buddhist traditions, got into the Yoga Sutras in Patanjali, where there was a religious flavor of doing these things with a connection to the divine. It comes into the West with, I think we all, more or less people agree, Swami Vivekananda opened the door to the West. Then with Swami Vivekananda and Yogananda and other gurus which came. And then it started becoming more and more secular, and now more and more people are getting into that for calmness, stress reduction, for concentration, mental well-being, resilience.
Do you know when it kind of like hit academia? Because it seems to me that didn't happen too long ago, that suddenly like mindfulness became a concept in like, I don't know, psychology or generally in academia. Before it was like totally ignored.
I think this guy, John Kabat-Zinn, played a very important role in bringing it. There were also few players like Sharon Salzberg and Jack Confield. I don't know, they're the very big names, at least in US. And they went to India, learned the practices there, and then went back to US and developed the Insight meditation centers.
Or like more when the word mindfulness got detached from this source and was used kind of in an academic context without this kind of spiritual connotation.
Yeah. I still feel this guy, John Kabat-Zinn, played a role.
Yeah.
However, for Switzerland, I think on 12th of November we have Diego coming, Diego Hangartner. He spent 13 years with Dalai Lama, and I was talking to him, and he said like when he started in Switzerland, if we talk about mindfulness, people are like, and now everybody started talking around that. So I think he might answer the question even better, also from a Swiss perspective.
I think really in the US it started a lot earlier, in California and around in the Boston area with John Kabat-Zinn. But then, as always, there's a certain time lag until it comes to Europe.
Yeah.
And from what I learned about John Kabat-Zinn is that he didn't invent anything new, but his great merit is really to find a secular language for what before was always in the cultural and spiritual context of the East.
Yeah.
So I think that's his großer Verdienst, oder?
Yeah.
Is the vocabulary.
Yeah. And if you look the way he dressed, the way he really, for me, the dresses also started changing. Yeah, people were, And actually, I met him in Wisdom 2.0 conference around 6 years ago. And a wonderful guy doing the best which he could do.
During Corona, he did, I think it was every single night, or was it once a week, meditations online with a few thousand people. It was absolutely wonderful.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Not for the whole 2 years or so. I came in later, I learned about it later, but that was absolutely wonderful.
Beautiful. Oh, thanks for sharing that.
Very, very humbled person. He was a medical doctor, right?
I
It
think so,
started at the Boston, at a hospital, exactly for cancer patients. How can it help so that they can deal better with pain and with the idea that they are going to die? Yeah, and they had great successes there.
Yeah, beautiful, wonderful guy, and also taking it into the Google with Search Inside Yourself program and everything. And for that you need particular number of hours to do the meditation. So he also, it's not only it is a secular, and I also think the structure is an important word. He put a more deeper structure on it. Like you need these many hours of work, these are the stages you need to go through. So like the Western mind can get into this logical and the rational mindset, and then they can understand what's happening.
True. It's a beautifully structured 8-week program. Yeah, so it's a low threshold. It's easy for people to start that way. Yeah.
Thank you. So now when we're talking about this significance, that's how mindfulness has happened, let's look into the stages. Now these stages, here we're going more towards the Eastern concept, what's happening deep inside. So in Mundakya Upanishad, they define the stages also through the word Om. Om is A-U-M, and these are also linked to the stages of consciousness. So this is like, there are 4 levels of consciousness through Om. The Om 3, and then there's the overall space of ether around. The first we know is a waking consciousness. So the waking consciousness is more or less right now, we are interaction with external stimuli, emotional responses, cognitive processes. It's working. And this is the A of Om. The second is a dreaming consciousness. Now the dreaming consciousness is the external sensory inputs are absent when we are dreaming. We are still lying down. However, emotional and subconscious dynamics are active. When I have dreams, sometimes I feel physically also those dreams. And of course in the subconscious something is happening. So there's a level of detachment from the physical senses. Physical senses and the physicality, both, which is happening. And the third is dreamless sleep, which is beyond the barriers of senses, intellect, and even ego. Like that's where it's I think the REM level where our body fully rejuvenates. And we offers a glimpse of the unified consciousness. And imagine they know about that in like wrote about that in somewhere around 500 BCE, Mundakya Upanishad. And the fourth one, there's no English name for it. It's called Turiya. Sorry. Which is the ultimate state of consciousness, which is harmonious integration of self with a vast expanse of being. Now, this is what they call enlightened. However, there's also a difference. And here they say the person is both in the waking state with a deeper connection with the vast universe. So it's not a pure samadhi in that way, like you're sitting and you have that level of consciousness and you merge with that, which is different, which is one of the Ashtanga Yoga. In Turiya, people are working in the waking state, but they're connected with the entire divine being. And when we say enlightened masters, these are the people who are in these stages. So we can have the combination of the stages. I mean, we can still be in waking state and dreaming state, waking state and dreamless. So it's not different level, but we can attain all together. And that's the wisdom. This is what happens when we go into the mindfulness. It's not only about calming of mind. Calming of mind for me is more, we are still doing a little bit more on the waking stage. But it has a potential to take it to the end and bring it back. In other words, we can also put the 4 stages of mindfulness. So one is a quiet. Quiet stages, there will be words in which the Indian traditions differentiate. The quiet is, there's a removal of disturbances in our mind. Quiet. The next stage, and then comparatively we can understand it better, is calm. There's a calmness, which the difference between the calmness and quiet is, in the calm stage, nothing can disturb you. Now, this is not like, it's not emptying of mind. It's a different. The mind is still there, but it has become so calm that nothing can disturb it. No thoughts, nothing. And the third stage is peace. Peace is like this settled and harmonious rest, which happen when nothing can disturb you. Go into that stages. We are here. And the fourth stage, and that's why we did the exercise of silence, where when they say human mind might not be ready for the silence, they say silence is not only silence, it's not the stillness, but in that stage is also the entire openness. So silence is, as we say, India discovered zero. Indian Arab fight, but I would still say, in my biased perspective, and it's the only country which can discover zero, because the silence is the most potent thing, and the zero is the most potent thing. Can we believe that zero didn't come to the Western mind till, I think, Fibonacci in 11th century CE? So it's 8th or 11th, I think 11th, I need to check. It's long. And the thing is, there need to be different level of consciousness to understand that zero is the most potent thing. It's the start and it's the end, and that's the thing. It's a stillness, but it's composed of everything we need to know. And that's the openness. And our mind has the potential to go to that level where we can just receive all the messages, what we need to know. And for me, if you're even not believing in divine, at some point we can just connect all the dots, other way to saying that, which is happening. And our rational mind cannot, our waking consciousness cannot connect those dots. And as the world is becoming more and more complex, it's becoming even more difficult to connect all the dots. So for me, inner is the only solution to the outer. Anything coming up? Any thoughts? So here we are looking at mindfulness from a little bit more deeper but a little bit different perspective also, not only for just mental health or resilience. Now the third thing is, what are the types of meditation? Now there are numerous types of meditation. I'll just try to put few of them so that we can have a comparative understanding of it. What are the differences and what these differences do. So let's say, and maybe we can just practice each one of them if you're okay. The types of, so first one is, not the first, the one is concentration on any object or symbol. Now, it could be anything, object or symbol. It could be Jesus, it could be Krishna, it could be Buddha, it could be tree of life, it could be a pen, or whatever. And so this type of meditation is there in almost most of the tradition, or any tradition, where we just look and focus on an object, whichever we think. So maybe we shall do it for a few minutes. So you can just feel yourself at ease. I would say either you can open the eyes or close the eyes, but if you decide to open the eyes, just lower your gaze so that the focus is inside. Imagine an object or symbol which is divine for you, which holds a lot of significance. Focus on that symbol. When you are ready, you can slowly come back to this moment. Your own pace, open your eyes. Just take a minute. Can you share something?
should meditate more.
So you were not able to focus on any object?
Yeah, no, it was nice, but it's like, yeah, reminds one that it's something that should be done more often.
I felt the area of my head predominantly.
Thank you.
And what can you share what object or symbol you try to focus on?
I try to focus on Dada Shrichi.
Ah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That picture that
Yeah,
they
the
always
divine
have
light.
there, the divine
Yeah.
light. Yes.
And that's the beauty, like in that, when we have this object in focus, it's easier. Because we have to think about that, and then either the energy comes through that, or we can just keep the focus by looking into the details of that and our own connection. And then we can see what's happening in our body, as you said, that something was shifting here. So this is one type of meditation. There could be like multiple components around that. Other type of meditation is visualization of nature. As an object and symbol, where we can just go to the mountain and what's mountain telling us, or we can go to the ocean and what is our connection to the ocean, or tree, and what's our relationship with that tree. So, and see what that communion with nature brings. Shall we do this one? So we're in like. Yes. Slowly ease your body. And feel yourself in nature. Wherever you feel most alive, most vital. Where are you? What is your relationship with that element of nature? What do you want to tell them? What are they telling you? What's happening? Whenever you are ready, you can slowly come back to this time and space. So everyone wants to share what was happening? Where were you? Which nature component?
Tree.
Tree. Anything else you want to share?
Just tree on a field.
And did you feel connected to that?
Yeah, kind of like almost therapy. But more just observing.
For me, this one was very interesting. I placed myself in nature very near where I live. I always go jogging there or for walks, and I often observe huge birds. Rot Milan. I don't know the English name. Greifvögel, bigger than the Mäusebussard. They often come very close and they really show themselves off to me. They circle right above me, it's like a dance. And then you said, what are they telling you, right?
Yeah.
And immediately the answer was there, take it easy. Life can be elegant, life can be magic, life can be effortless, and yeah. Very sweet meditation.
And when we're talking about this, sometimes we just go to the last stage very quickly at different stages. And I was talking about this connecting the dots. And we're talking about this openness, stillness and openness in the silence of the messages. This is what happens. It might be your thoughts in some other ways you are hearing, or might be a divine message which just come to you in that.
And it's so interesting, you were still asking the question, the answer was already there. And that's what you meant with it's not so much the rational mind, because that will start calculating and thinking and when it's that quick, that can only happen in that openness.
And mindfulness helps us go to that openness. Otherwise, it will never. You think we should do meditation more. I would also agree to that because mindfulness can open that doors. I do it every day, meditation. I'd like to do 20 minutes every day. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 1 hour. So, and I receive, like, for me, it's the energy for the day to go forward. And also I receive so many messages during that thing, and which also helps me guide. So I've created that open channel through that. It could be anything, but it could be my connecting the dots. But this is a time when I take the time and space where I will just come down and reflect back. Next one. Focus on chakras. The chakras are the energetic centers.
Where did they originate? And did they originate in one place, or are they like? Because it seems to be that like in shamanism, Simone was saying. So did you know about that? Like where this or like the Chinese meridians is that related?
I think it originates in different ways, different wordings all over. The concept of chakras is that we have this physical body, and above that we also have an etheric body. And in that etheric body, there are few energy centers where the few nerves which meet, and there's a new level of energy which comes there. Now, in Indian systems, then they take etheric body or subtle body as one of the given system, and then they say, well, these are the chakras. I think in Chinese, the meridian system is similar but a little bit different. I think in the Chinese system, there are also physical physical connections. In chakra system, it's really etheric only. There's no physical connection. Normally, the traditions, they say there are 108 chakras. That's why 108 is sacred number in so many different forms. And the enlightened person has all the 108 chakras open. There are 7 chakras which are much more focused or important than others, which anybody can feel. And it's across the spine. And sometimes when we go into the physical, when we go into a daily waking life, we get the energies from all the places in our etheric and subtle body, and sometimes the chakras got blocked, or the movements get slower, the light get dim. And through this chakra meditation, they just open the chakra and then make make it go well. So there are 7 chakras. So one is at the perineum base, the other is at our sexual organs, and the third one at our, I think, around navel. The fourth one is at the heart. Fifth one is the throat. Sixth one is the eye in the middle between the eyebrows, and the seventh one is above the head, a little bit above.
Solar plexus, isn't that the one?
Solar plexus is the one at the navel.
Ah.
And all these 7 chakras, they represent different. There's just so many. Some the chakras are linked to the days of the week. The chakras are because there are 7 days of the week. The chakras are linked to colors. The chakras are linked to specific potency. For example, the base chakra is more stability. The sexual chakra is more sensuality. The solar plexus, as you said, this is more about power, the will to move, action. Heart is love and connection. Throat is speaking and communication. Third eye is inner vision and intuition. And crown is really openness when we're talking. So shall we do a meditation for that? Any particular chakra to meditate on? Let's do only one, small one. Shall we take solar plexus since you mentioned that? Relax your body. Focus on the area around your navel. It's a center of power, yellow in color. It allows you to move forward. How do you see it? How do you feel it? Now, imagine how you want to see it, how you want to feel it. See it, feel it. What's happening? Take 3 deep breaths in that chakra. And slowly come back to this space and time at your own pace. Any experience to share?
Imagination is powerful. It was quite reserved, I would say, at the beginning. And then I used my imagination when you asked, how do you want to see? And I made it a lot bigger and with sparkles moving and the yellow vortex in front and in the back.
Oh, wow.
And my tummy became warmer. And it felt really good. I wanted to stay in the meditation longer.
Anything for you?
This was like the one that worked the least from
Yeah.
all three.
Yeah, thank you. And this is also the thing that some meditations might work for someone. Some meditation does not work. That's why there are so many different type of mindfulness. We can choose which one we can connect with.
Because it's funny because that's like the only thing I sometimes do, this like one chakra meditation where it's like guided and it goes through each one, and it's like
Yeah.
not the color, it's also like with the fragrance,
Yeah.
each one of them, which is like super nice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Nice.
interesting that now,
Yeah.
And do you have that from YouTube? Can you recommend?
No, this
One?
is. It was actually something I bought from this Hemi-Sync Monroe Institute.
Institute, yeah.
That was from there.
Ah,
I once bought a couple of those.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Very nice, thank you. And these chakra things we can do for all the chakras, you know. And yeah, and there's just like there's a sound, there's it's also linked to a little bit more senses. Each chakra has a different frequency of sound. It's very beautiful. So it's a complete system. I also did a talk on wisdom of chakras. I think you were there, no?
no.
No. And then we also understand each chakra in more detail and take it form and went to the meditation of each one of them. Maybe I just repeat it next year. The fourth is this practice of mantra or japas, just keep on speaking the word. And they said when we speak the word, it just opens us. There's a very famous story, the person who wrote Ramayana, which is one of the biggest Indian epic, the two big ones, Ramayana and Mahabharata. It's a story of Rama. And he used to be a dacoit, a killer, and he was killing people, and then he met, and he was about to steal something and kill one of the sages, and then that sage asked him this other component, but in simplicity asked him to just do the japa, repeat the word Rama, Rama, Rama. And he cannot, because he was just so close, he cannot repeat the one Rama. Also, it's very simple, Ram, 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 which is the name of a Lord, which is also mantra. However, when you change the Ram to opposite, it becomes Mara, 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 which is like I'm dead, or dead. So he was able to do that, Mara, 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 and then when he keep on doing, it slowly became Ram, 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 in repetition. And they say he keep on doing that, and he just completely focused on it many years, and then he had this vision from Ram through that, and then he became enlightened, and he wrote one of the biggest epic, and he himself became a sage. So these words or these mantras has big power. Shall we do one mantra? I also run sessions on mantra vibrations once a week, once a month. So this mantra is, I think, from Brahmadarika Upanishad, and it's also starting mantra of Brihnadarika Upanishad and starting mantra of Isha Upanishad. Om Purnam Purnatudyachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamiti Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So whenever you're ready, you can come back to this time and space. Hmm?
Nice.
Yeah.
Are these Sanskrit?
Sanskrit, yeah. I'll tell you the.
Is there a meaning like? Because sometimes, like aren't in Buddhism, sometimes the mantras without any like
Meaning?
it's more the sound and the vibration than the meaning of the word. Or
In my understanding, as per Indian, definitely in the Indian traditions, which I'm more familiar with,
yeah.
not purely Buddhism, and we can check with Buddhism on with Diego. Most of the mantras have a meaning. It's basically from the scriptures, and they take over one part of it. Like the entire transcendental meditation is based on Soham Asmi, I am you, and then repeat the same mantras again and again. Soham Asmi, or that is me. And this before I go to the meaning, did you feel anything, Brigade? Or?
Yeah, I had a physical reaction. I felt this area very strongly. It was strange, but not unpleasant.
Okay. Because in this, I also want to participate. I just want to, like after that, it was very difficult for me to come back. I felt there was a different space and time, and I have to like cut through different space and time to come back. Just, yeah, for me, it's like, so yeah, personally I felt different. So this mantra is it's very, very potent mantra, and it's the entire philosophy of this is mantra contains the entire philosophy of Indian traditions. It's a Purnamada Purnamidam. Purnam normally means complete, full, absolute, whichever way you want to say, integral. They say this is complete and that is complete. Purnam Purnat Udyachyate. From the complete came the complete. Purnasya Purnamadaya. If you take complete from the complete, Purnamiti Vashishyate, only the complete remains. So this is complete, that is complete. From the complete, complete came. If you take complete from the complete, only complete remains. So it's a paradoxical principle, and it's also said like from the divine, this world which is complete, which came. But if we took the complete world out of that complete, that also remained incomplete. So both are complete. And that's, so they are multi-layered. So there's meaning, there's vibrations, and which can penetrate through space and time. And there's a voice, there's structure, there's this space and time in which they have been said and done or recited. It's a complete system in itself. It's a technology in itself. Actually, I call these as technologies, human technologies, ancient, which has been created. So the next one is consciousness of breath, which is basically the Vipassana traditions. And in that what's important is your spine is straight. I think one of the things is Anapana, which is just awareness of the consciousness. You just breathe normally, and as you're breathing, as the air come out of your nose, just witness it. Just be aware of that. And that's it. If any thoughts come, let them come and go. Whenever you are ready, you can come back to this space and time. This is one of the basics of the Vipassana Goenka meditation. Tobias does it once a month here and once every 2 weeks. So how did you feel?
Calm.
Calm.
Yes, it has a mind calming, thought calming effect.
Yeah. That's what I also felt. Like the last one mantra, when I was coming back, I have to, as I said, traverse multiple space and times and come back. It was difficult. Here I was able to come back easily, but it was different. It was more calmness which was getting lost when I was coming back to this waking life. It's my subjective. Other is also the method of self-inquiry. Uh, it's in Indian system. It's called neti neti. Neti neti is a philosophy, which is basically said that neti neti means it's not that, it's not this, it's not that. And they're saying we can never find out what it is. The only thing we can find out is what it is not. And that's the self-inquiry. So you want to do that, the last one? So I'll guide you through that. Focus on your physical body. Feel. Can you feel your body parts? Can you feel your feet, hands, here? You are not your body. Feel the senses. Can you hear? Can you smell? Can you touch? Can you taste? Can you see? You are not your senses. Feel your nervous system, which take information from all the senses. What does that sense mind, sense nervous system feel? You are not your nervous system. Feel your intellect. That part of your mind which can look into past and speculate the future. You are not your intellect. Feel your soul within your heart. Something you might slowly come back to this space and time. Anything to share?
That was the most powerful one of all.
Yeah?
Yep.
Anything more to share?
Just sensations and the energy.
The strongest physical sensation was when you said concentrate on your heart. Maybe you said it with other words, but then everything became soft and wide. And then the stepping away, always one layer back and behind. For me, it was behind. Looking down, being aware of the soul, being aware of the awareness of the soul. That was beautiful as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's different variations of this. It's like in Indian system, at least in Upanishadic Vedantic system, they say like there's this consciousness we are living, and there's a witness consciousness. And there's a witness consciousness which keep on seeing everything which is happening. So one body moves and other stays. So they always put it like two sparrows. I think the story is like two sparrows on the on a branch. One sparrow eat and other sparrow just see. And then that's the witness consciousness we both have. We have both of them. So sometimes this self-inquiry can also be translated a bit more into the witness consciousness type of meditation. And focus only on that. And a lot of these meditations can be combined in different shapes and forms. And there's other type of meditation like complete free thinking. You just let everything go and see what arrives. So there's no one particular type of mindfulness. You can, and for me sometimes it's paradoxical, which is, you can do breath and you can do mantras. You can be silent or you can speak. You can use your senses, you can go behind them. You can create your own. So, and that's what mindfulness is for me. You can devise whatever works for you or whatever works for you for that particular day and time. And sometimes, and that's why there's Vipassana meditation centers. And sometimes if people follow one type of meditation, it also sticks much stronger. I'm personal type of person who like more mantra meditation. However, every day is different for me, whatever cause. So I put the slide, the questions. Maybe just we can go back to the first slide now. What do you see here? Yeah, let's have this one and then we can, yeah. Anything to share?
Like the framing of the nature, the temple scenery, kind of the outside aspect, although it's like, meaning to show like introspection and mindfulness, but I kind of like how where it's placed.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The place also helps. The space also helps in connecting. Anything else? It's a multi-layered picture, so there's so
When I
many
look at the
stories.
eyes, it seems that the robot is the enlightened one.
That's a good one. Robert is an
Leaves me
enlightened
puzzled.
one.
Leaves me a bit puzzled.
Yeah. Maybe at this note we can finish the recording. That's a beautiful note.